Hey everybody and welcome to Chairman of the Board. Today I'm looking at a small two-player only game called Daxu. Now this is a tug-of-war style game that uses this kind of paper, rock, scissors style mechanic. It says on the box it takes 30 minutes to play, but I'd say it takes a bit quicker than that, to be honest. So I'll show you how it's played and I'll come back and give my final thoughts on Daxu. Okay, so a game of Daxu is going to set up like this. So you've got the center board here, which tracks each player reputation. So you've got a pawn of each color. So the more reputation you have at the end of the game, you're going to get up to 5 points, or the lower the reputation you get, you're going to lose up to 7 points. So you want to try stay up as far as this track as possible. Each player is going to get 8 cards to start with, and they place them on their side of the board, matching with the symbol. So as you can see, each character card here is matched with a certain symbol. So this one's got bread, this one's like wine, and so on. So the objective of the game is to have more cards on your side than your opponent, but you want to have as little extra as possible. So for example here, with this score reference card here, with these 3 sections here, you've got the bread, the wine, and the tools or axes, whatever it is. If you have 1 more card than your opponent at the end of the game on each section, you get 4 points. 2 more, you only get 2 points. And if you have 3 more, you only get 1 point extra. So you're rewarded for having as small of a margin of victory as possible. These other 3 sections work in a very similar way, but they're a bit more harsh, because if you have just 1 extra, you get 5 points, 2 extra, you get 3 points. But if you have any more than that, you end up losing a point, and your opponent gets points equal to the amount of cards on their side of the board. And that also applies to the other 3 sections here. So the game is going to work like this. So each round, 3 cards are going to be drawn from the deck here, like this. Like so, and these are just as we've set up here. They've all got a different symbol on, and they also have reputation here. So if a player wins these cards or takes them to their side, they're going to get reputation to equal to the numbers on here. So this has got 2 + 1 symbols and 1 - 1 symbol. So you'd end up going up 1 up the reputation track if you were to win these. But the way you win these cards or don't win these cards is based on these cards here. So every round, both players are going to take these 4 cards into their hand, secretly play one simultaneously. So after the count of 3, you go 1, 2, 3 and reveal your card. And so basically you've got your 4 cards here, and they're very, very simple. This one means you're going to take that card for yourself. This one here means you want to give the cards to your opponent. This one here is you agree with your opponent's move, and if you play that card you get +1 reputation. And this one is undermine your opponent, so you do the opposite of what your opponent does. So basically it's a game of paper, rock, scissors. In the case of both players playing the same card, you've got this little index here. So if both players choose cooperate, if one player chooses cooperate and the other one undermine, the player with the undermine determines who takes all the cards. If both players choose give, the player with the lowest reputation gets the cards. If both players choose take, then the player with the highest reputation gets the cards. And if both choose cooperate or both choose undermine, then an additional card is drawn from the pile. So you'll have 4 cards you're bidding on, and then you'll go from there. And basically, at the end of the game, you'll count up your score, and the player with the highest score wins. And that's how you play Daxu. So as you can see there, the game is fundamentally very, very simple. It uses that paper, rock, scissors style mechanic throughout the whole game. So the cool thing about that is that, you're going to be playing the game instantly with someone who's not too used to games. They're not going to be worrying about the overhead of rules or anything like that, because the mechanic of that paper, rock, scissors style thing is so embedded in us. So the cool thing is, as I said, it's very unintimidating, and you're going to get straight into it, and it becomes more of a mind game than rather playing the game itself. So it's very player versus player. It's that guessing or second guessing or triple guessing what your opponent's going to do. And while I like that, it makes some very, very cool decisions, well, not decisions, but it makes some cool laugh out loud moments where you guess what your opponent's going to do correctly or so on. But at the same time, when it becomes a point where there's so much back and forth guessing what you're trying to do, you may as well just take a stab in the dark and play any card at all. That's just my opinion on it, because as I said, you can just decide any point down that thought decision line where you're going to stop. Am I going to guess? am I going to do the opposite because I think he's going to do that? He knows I'm going to do that, so I'm going to do the opposite of that, and so on. So it just keeps going and going and going and going to the point where you may as well just play any card from your hand. But that is just a personal opinion of mine. Something I do really like about the game is that kind of thing of you want to win each group of cards, but you want to win by as little as possible. Now, I generally like that mechanic in most games. That's a really cool scoring mechanism because it keeps the game close, it stops runaway leaders, and it's that real kind of tension of like keeping it as balanced as possible. It's that art of kind of spinning all those plates and trying to, you know, keep them all going. And that's really cool. But again, I have a slight issue with it because the rules state that you have to take a couple of cards out just to stop the perfect knowledge of what cards are going to be in that deck. But at the same time, you're going to play through all the rest of those cards, so you've got a pretty good idea of when the game's going to end. So that kind of makes those last few turns so much more important than the first few turns. And while, you know, that's not really a big issue, I would personally house rule it, which is something I've kind of learned the more and more I've played this game, that maybe you should have like an end of the game card in that bottom quarter of cards, so you can be caught by surprise when the game's going to end, which kind of amps up that tension throughout the game instead of just right at the very end. So just a small observation I've thought of there, and something I think could really improve the game and amp up the tension even more. I really like the fact that, you know, it's a very tactical game. You know, you're not thinking long term here because, again, you're always playing those cards that are presented in front of you, and that constant revealing, or the simultaneous revealing of cards, deciding who's going to get it, is almost like that constant instant gratification is really, really good. It keeps you engaged. It forces you to be engaged because, you know, if you start slipping off, then you're going to kind of lose your balance of cards. And I really like that kind of instant payoff the game gives. Yeah, I do like the game. It's not, you know, it's not rocket science. There's not a lot to it. But, you know, you're going to get a lot of fun out of it very quickly. You've not got to worry about those rules overheads or anything like that. The balance, the thought decision of what cards you want and what you want your opponents to have is quite engaging or entertaining, because, you know, you might want one card of those three, but don't want the other two. But you've got to work out the cards, or the net value of points you're going to get from doing that. So I might get that one card that gets me 5 points, but lose a couple of points in the process by taking the other two cards. But at the same time, I've got to worry about the reputation on those cards, which could get me points or lose me points. So there is that kind of mental arithmetic that's going on throughout the whole game. And, you know, it's enough to keep the game flowing and makes you feel like at least you're not playing blindly each turn. So as I said, there's a lot of quick decisions you're going to make. You're going to keep blasting through those revealings and just trying to you're getting to the end of those deck pretty quickly. So the game plays in about 15 minutes. The game says 30 minutes on the box, but as I said in the intro, I think that's a bit on the long side compared to actually what it does play. Very simple game. I wouldn't play this with experienced gamers because I think it's just not going to be enough there to keep them engaged. But the new gamers, they're going to kind of enjoy the familiar feel of it, but with that extra layer of the tug of war style cards. Uptime is absolutely amazing. You're always going to be engaged in this one. So quick, the game just flies by, and you know, there's no kind of space to lose interest. The replayability, I wouldn't say it's immensely replayable. It's said you're always going to get that same kind of feel of the game, just revealing those cards and playing what's in front of you. So I'd say you've not got a lot of plays in this game, but playing it with new people every time or introducing it to new players is going to inject a bit of life into it. The interaction is good because, as I said, it's playing each other, isn't it? You're not really playing the game, you're kind of guessing what your opponent's going to do, and it becomes a real kind of a mind battle between the two of you, which is fun. And it makes you kind of feel good when you kind of out-trump your opponent, or when they kind of do the opposite of what you think they're going to do and end up catching you off guard. Yeah, that's quite nice. I think the game looks very nice. The artwork's pretty cool. It has that kind of Clement Franz kind of vibe to it, but I don't think it is him. But it looks pretty good. The quality of the game, or the component quality, it's good. It's fine. It's not the best. That kind of centerboard is a bit flimsy. Doesn't really lay straight. The card quality is okay. You know, it's fine, completely fine. It's not an expensive game, so you get what you pay for with this one, but it does look good. The theme of having, I think it's like two shopkeepers you are, like, I don't really know what that's about, but, you know, it's fine. and it takes a minute to set up. No problem there at all. So the setup time is absolutely fine. So overall, I do think it's a decent game. It is a decent game. It's for a certain level of player, or to play with a certain level of player. As I said, you're not going to play this with hardcore gamers. They're just not going to get anything out of it. But it's a good 15-minute game that, you know, full of lots of, you know, some laugh out loud moments where you caught each other off guard, as I said. And it is fun. You're going to get some fun out of it. Is it going to stay in my collection long term? Probably not. You know, I'm going to get my plays out of it and be done with it, because fundamentally that paper, rock, scissors style mechanic only has a certain shelf life in it before you want to go on to something else. But overall, a nice game. Good for as an introductory game for 2 players, and just, you know, it's quick, it sets up quickly, and, you know, it's generally a nice vibe of a game, and it's fun. So that's my thoughts on Daxu. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Not rocket science here, as I said, but, you know, it's something that's worth checking out if it does appeal to you. So if you have enjoyed the videos, please hit like and subscribe to our channel, and check out my other videos too. For everyone else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye.